I'm working on probably like 3 different projects. One of this is the Texas Alter source. Definitely go hit my Discord server in the description below. Drop the Texas Alter sauce, and I'm gonna be working on it.
Omatase, Doctor.
What's up guys, it's your local homeless Asian, except I'm not exactly homeless for the time being. So you guys can see, I'm back here in my parents' house in Indonesia. So today, it's time I actually finish off something that you guys have been waiting for a really long time. And it's probably like one of Arknights' most hyped weapons of all. And to commemorate her 1-year release on the CN server, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you
at the end of the road, in the dark, lies and wait like a
We meet again, Doctor.
teasing
The Syracuse and rainy season always gets my tail wet, so I prefer the climate here.
Texas the Wlfmstr. Bro, I hope I didn't butcher that. AKA Texas Alter. For those of you who don't know, Texas Alter is a fast free deploy executor specialist who was originally a vanguard who decided to go through her villain arc and became one of the most broken units in Arknights of all time. And that's why there hasn't been a hype this big since the Wave cockroach. Now, Texas Alter has actually been released in the global servers already, but sadly, I was actually one of those people who failed to pull her in time. So yeah, rest in peace around him. I'm gonna have to spark her next rerun. But y'all know what? I'm a believer. And being the zero sanity doctor I am, I've got this stupid ass idea. See, there's actually this slight chance that when Texas comes back around next banner that I might actually be able to pull her. And then I had this idea, what if I built Texas's swords and hope that I might actually be able to attract her in the next banner. And so doctor, that is what we're gonna be doing today. Now, in order to reverse isekai a pair of swords from an anime, I'm gonna be using good old 3D printing, which is basically a process of adding a bunch of material on top of each other until it's gonna shape a finished product. To do that, we're gonna have to like draw this thing first, which is why I'm gonna be using this software called Fusion 360 to do it. Obviously, I'm not gonna show you guys the entire process in this one video because it'll definitely take ages to explain, not to mention the amount of errors that I had to go through just to shape these two swords. The point is, I basically just like grabbed a reference off the internet and then I basically try and trace the lines from a bunch of shit here and there just to make it as close as possible to the final result. Now, during the 3D modeling process, I did run into some issues. So Celinia actually has 2 swords. One is called Blueberry and the other is called Dark Chocolate. Now, I'm assuming Blueberry is this sword with a blue handle wrap and the twirly body right here. And Dark Chocolate has got to be the other one with the big ass wolf head. And because I have like a clear picture of how Dark Chocolate looks like, this one was actually pretty easy. However, Blueberry though, I haven't been able to like scrounge up enough for information from the internet on how this thing is supposed to look like. Luckily, everybody in the Discord server was kind enough to lend me a helping hand and they submitted a bunch of reference pictures I was able to use to get a good idea on how this thing is supposed to look like. And even with that, it's still confusing as hell that I finally decided to like improvise a little bit. All in all, this is how my version ended up. I don't think this is 100% accurate, but I do think that actually does came close enough. Now, once I actually got a good model, I decided to like cut it into 7 different pieces each so that I could jam it into my 20 by 20 by 20 printer. And I'm just gonna go and export each part into a sliding software called Cura, which we could basically use to tell the printer what to do. Here we could play with like how much material goes into the print, how fast the printer is gonna go, and of course the orientation of the print. I'm gonna give you a warning, you really do want to place like the long side of the blade flat with the bit or else it's gonna be crippled as fuck. This is a trick that has been battle tested time and time again. It's gonna make your plastic 3D printer totally. And so once that's done, I'm just gonna go and copy the file to a USB so that they could get on with it. So guys, that's basically every part we needed already printed out of the printer. This entire process took me a little over a week to do. It should have taken about like 2 weeks. Since I'm trying to like catch up with the deadline that I probably missed a few months ago, I asked my dad to buy me a second printer so that we could run 2 printers in a tandem in order to speed up the entire process. And that was actually pretty significant because we managed to like cut the time by about 30%, which in my opinion is pretty damn fast. So here we can preview just about how blueberry and dark chocolate is about to look like once it's assembled. Well, it's not fully assembled yet, so it might look a bit jagged and all that shit. But I don't know, I would say these are like some of the craziest parts I've ever printed so far. I mean, take a look at the geometry. I'd say it's just like nothing I've really ever seen before. Especially the one on blueberry though. Look at this spiral madness. Bro, could you even fathom this, like which of these spines connects with which, bro? Because yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of a headache in the assembly phase, you know what I'm saying? But the wolf head on dark chocolate though, the wolf head actually looks like really stunning, looks really nice and clean as well. Although I would say there are almost damaged edges. Oh, that's because like some of the supports actually failed. It was supposed to like hold these spikes that are supposed to be like connected later on, but like somehow they like fell off before it could actually get connected to the main body, which I had to like pre-weld it on. So the damaged areas are marked by like these somewhat burnt out filament, but this is not going to affect the final results because I've got just the technique to clean it up. Now that thing out of the way, I'm just gonna go and explain the strat real quick. This my boy. Oh this kind of gas is 100-watt soldering iron. This baby burns up to like how much does it burn, bro? This thing's hot. This thing could burn up to over like 500 degrees Celsius. And what this thing is gonna do is that it's basically like gonna melt the parts that we're gonna be connecting. So once it's melted, you could like swerve the material around so that they would actually like fuse 2 parts together, creating one solid piece of the same material. This is like something far stronger than glue, so it's definitely worth considering if you're actually doing like the same kind of projects that I do. As you know, like I have fairly high standards for the stuff I make, and so I really just want this to not only exist but make it indestructible. And speaking of indestructibility, we're also going to be shoving mild steel rods down this thing so that in any case of this sort actually like slamming into stuff, the steel rod is going to absorb the shock, which makes this already indestructible swords more indestructible. How's that for strength, bro? Now the welding process might pull nice and all with all the smoke, but I gotta warn you that this thing could actually mess with your lungs and eyes as you do it. So I really recommend you getting like safety equipment such as goggles and respirator masks as well. Alright, so now that my soldering iron is all heated up, let's weld these motherfuckers.
Tough, but it's never been about you. You're free, but cement your feet a statue. Your rules, but you'd rather make up something. You're dead, you were never good for nothing. Double negatives leading me in circles. Twist infinity, you drive me insane. Hit hard, a broken wall. Hit hard, I gave it all. Hit hard, a family tie.
So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow doctor. After a total of 6 hours, constantly just welding these 2 swords, all the pieces put together into 2 absolutely stunning looking swords. I don't know if I'm like singing my own praises, but like I really did nail the pre-modeling on this one now, didn't I? Again, couldn't have done it without the boys helping me out by sending me stuff on the Discord server. But the process is still far from over. I mean, it shouldn't really take you guys too long to notice that these 2 swords are filled with a bunch of these welding blobs, which are obviously like a byproduct of the welding process, which I would basically say it's inevitable. You're definitely gonna be running into these if you're actually gonna use like the welding method to put your stuff together. Because if we were like just paint this thing straight off the bat, we still got like a bunch of like all these high grounds and valleys that it's gonna look like an absolute mess when painted. And by any standards, this is not gonna look good. So we're gonna be jumping into the next step, which is sanding, aka cleanup. So to put it simply, I'm gonna be dividing this step into 2 phases. The first phase is gonna be roughing. Basically just means that you're gonna wanna like rip as much material as fast as possible from this thing using like the roughest set of tools you can get. Basically just damage over for the sake of efficiency. Now here's a few tools I could recommend you guys to use for this process. First we're gonna be putting away our soldering iron. First on the list we've got the hand file set. Now for roughing, these are definitely my tool of choice if you've got like a load of flat surface, because as long as you could like get this thing to move really in a linear direction, this thing could like shred of tons material really fast. So basically what you're gonna do is you're just gonna want to like stroking it with as much force as you can until you basically get the blobs relatively flat with the rest of the blade. But I don't think the hand files could actually like reach into a blueberry, because it's like made of a bunch of these awkward spiral that crash into each other, and the hand file is definitely bound to knock into something, which is not very effective. Speak no more, bro. I got just the tool for you. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the die grinder. In Unga Bunga speak, you basically have it like a grinder hold tool go spin. Now with the fact that this thing could actually like hold a different array of tools, from like a relatively large one up to a really small precision tool, means that this tool could actually like be used to touch up on the narrower parts of the blade. So we're basically gonna be using this for the majority of blueberry, because this thing is basically made up of nooks, a bunch of nook and crannies. And I think this is like the most efficient tool for the job. So yeah, now that we finally got our tools and the game plan set up, let's just go hit the start button. So with that, I think I finally got the first phase of the cleanup, aka the roughing, done at this point. With the Wlfmstr gone, I also like gave myself a little bit of a head start and started flattening out the layer lines for the next step. This is gonna be the finishing phase. This next phase is where I recommend you drink those load of sanity potions, because you're gonna need a ton of them. So now what we're gonna be doing here is that we're gonna be like taking a second pass on this thing so that we can make sure that no bumps, no holes, no layer lines, no nothing. Oh, and recently I've also like discovered this one pretty interesting trick that I'm gonna show you guys for a sec. But I guess we'll just go out real quick and I'll show you guys what I mean. Alright bro, so here's the trick that I'm gonna try and show you. First of all, grab a spray can. You basically want to grab just about any color, as long as the damn thing is contrast to like the color you have here on your sword. For me, I'm just gonna go and pick this blue microlith color. And one more thing, this spray pen has to have like some sort of a thick kind of texture, so that it would basically have the tendency to like blob around. And if you spray it, it's basically gonna give off like this more of an opaque kind of finish. So what you're gonna want to do is that you're gonna want to like spray this entire sword in the color you just picked. Doesn't have to be too thick, maybe just like enough to cover the entire damn thing. Just make it like consistent but not too thick. And then once it dries, the paint is gonna reveal basically any area of the surface that's like not well sanded down, or basically just bumpy in general. Alright, so we finally get these two babies all marked up with the spray paint. We should be able to see in a better light which part is still rough and needs cleaning and which one's okay. Honestly, I would say like part around the wolf pit, the printer actually did really well. This part is actually like really smooth. Even with like the spray paint on, there's like no layer lines on it. So I think we could just totally leave it at that. Meanwhile, the other parts, like the majority of blueberry, as well as like the backside of dark chocolate, still has like a lot of layer lines, as well as this husky kind of texture. We're gonna want it nice squeaky clean. And so what tool are we gonna be using, you ask? Well, I got just the solution, but you probably ain't gonna like it. Sandpaper, baby. Alright, look, I hate to break it down to you, but like these things are the only thing that like, in my opinion, could fit it into like those small crevices, like really nice and easy. Basically, how you're gonna want to do it is that you just rip one piece and then like pinch it with your fingers, and then with that, you could basically just like fit it into those deep, lodged areas. Oh, and if you got one of these triangular files laying around, you can also use that as well. I think they're really useful into like getting into these much more enclosed space. Your fat fingers can't really fit in there. And by the way, you could also swap out your rotary bit for something that's like much finer, especially these tiny stone metal bits. I find these tools much easier to hit those harder to reach areas compared to the larger sanding wheels. So I guess that's also a good tool that's worth considering for this step. But I don't even know how long this is gonna take to like for me to clean all of this fucking surface up. But you know what? Let's just do it.
It all to gain some power. All of this just say you plant a seed to kill a flower. All of this just say you talk your way into your silence. All of this is just a ploy to force your hand of violence. It's a waste of time thinking you got tough when it's never really been enough.
Boys, it's day 14. Dude, I can't believe I'm literally 14 days in just like this one finish. Oh, if you guys were wondering if I've actually been wearing the same shirt for this entire period, nah bro, that's not it. I've actually done like most of the setting off camera, off screen. I've just saved this very specific shirt for this specific shot, bro. I definitely got changed. So as you guys can see here, both swords I finally set it nice and smooth. Although I would say I'd actually give myself a pat on the back for the finish that I've done here. I wouldn't actually call this perfect. You guys can see like there's like a bunch of areas that I ended up not doing. Either it's because I think they're already good enough, or most likely it's just like none of my tools could get it there, or my fingers are just too fucking fat. I'm talking about this wolf hit right here though. Man, like, I mean the magician actually did pretty well in here. That basically just called it done during the finishing process. I mean, well, I'd say like Blueberry is just an absolute nightmare fuel. I kid you not, like at least 60% to 70% of the time spent is definitely me trying to figure out how the I'm actually gonna be able to hit like these surfaces that are just like very deep in between all these fines that are just like go twirling all around this. I actually had like my fair share of struggles in dealing with these trenches in the backside of dark chocolate. Dude, like not many tools could actually fit in there. Oh no bro, this has got to be by far the most hellish sanding process I've ever been through all my life, and hopefully this will be the last. I couldn't possibly think of like another design that's like much more insane compared to like two absurdly designed wolf swords. But again, y'all definitely gonna throw much more absurd weapon designs to my face now, aren't you? All in all, I'm actually relieved that this sanding process is over, because this thing has got to be like, this thing, it's hard. It's hard. This thing has been like sitting in the back of my mind for like this past 14 days, and honestly, I'm kind of glad it's over. So yeah, final call it a night. We'll paint these bitches tomorrow. Where's my sanding potion at? Alright, morning y'all. So it's the next day, and y'all know what time it is. It's time to paint these babies. Now, as y'all can see, these things actually do look bluer than they did last night. That's actually because I went ahead and applied a little bit of a same blue primer that I used for the setting process, just to check how the surface finish looked like. For example, this area, as you guys can see, the reflection is all good. It's nice and consistent. If you actually did your setting right, this is the surface finish that you should be getting. So if you manage to get your swords to this kind of surface, well, congratulations. You have my seal of approval. Alright, so now what we're gonna want to be doing here is that we're gonna want to start off with the primer. We basically just want to use this blue spray can. Actually, it's not a primer, it's just one of those blue colors It's just because like the fact that this thing is actually pretty thick. I just prefer this over like the standard primer. It's also much cheaper as well. For primers, I usually prefer like any paint that's basically thick, and I'm talking like mudrock level thick. This thing is gonna help like patch up all those misses, all those parts that you missed in the setting, so it'll be a little more forgiving if you didn't actually put that much effort into the sanding process. Alright, so as you all can see here, quote-unquote primer coat is already dried out on these two swords. And now we can finally get into like the main painting phase. But first of all, let's take a look at the paint job on Texas' default art. On first sight, we could totally tell that like these two swords have a base color of silver, which runs basically from tip to pommel on blueberry. But for dark chocolate, we also do have like a little bit of red and black tip right there. It's a little bit of a fade pattern as well. I mean, it looks pretty hot and sharp to me in a sense. It probably takes inspiration from like one of those 1000 degree knives. Alright, so now that we basically know what we're gonna be doing, I'm just gonna go ahead and grab this chrome silver paint, and then I'm just gonna go and apply it to the entire surface of both swords. Now this part is the reason why I put a lot of stress on the surface finish, because like if you're using chrome, any part that's like husky or like not completely flat or not smooth is really gonna be reflected by your chrome paint. And if you really just want like an absolutely stunning perfect reflection, you're really gonna need that flat ass surface finish. And so that, guys, is why the entire sanding process took me up to like 14 days to do. So anyway, guys, the silver paint has finally dried. Now, as you guys can see, it does look absolutely stunning now, doesn't it? And at this point, we're actually done with blueberries, so we're just gonna like put it aside for now. And then we're gonna finish up with the red tip on dark chocolate. TLDR, the key to doing fade patterns is that you're gonna wanna like take your spray can and walk a little bit further back. Then I wanna like move the spray can a little bit faster so that you could basically like spread the particles more evenly, creating this kind of like semi-transparent faded kind of pattern right here. Then you're gonna wanna like spray it in like a V-shaped pattern in which you wanna like get the gradient to stop at about like a few inches under like these engravings on the blade, and then you want to pull the sides a little bit higher down the bevels. That way it would actually match like the curved gradient you could see here on like Texas's E1 art. And now for the red tip, basically like follows the same pattern as the black paint. You're just gonna like want to offset it like a few inches down, probably just about right here. Don't worry if this thing is like not perfect on the first try. You could like totally apply a little bit of extra silver in case you go a little bit too far with the blade. Then finally, after the paint job has dried, we can finally take both swords back to the workroom so that we could like do a little bit of a finishing touch on them. But I'm pretty sure we got a pretty good idea of what we're going to be doing here. Handle wraps. These swords handles are covered using like unneatly wrapped cloth, but of course the blue color on blueberry and the white wrapping on dark chocolate. Now I've actually like go and circle my entire city looking for this kind of cloth, but I think the best I could come up with is flannel. And sadly I was unable to find them in strips either, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of extra work and cut them down to like 10mm wide strips. So anyway, after we got our strips cut out, we're just gonna go ahead and put it on the handle. So here's the strat. You're gonna want to do about like 3 loops down the direction you want to go, then probably like go back 2 loops in the other direction before you actually carry on with going through the same direction. This I believe is how you get the messy pattern that's like on Texas's easier art. Then once that's done, you're just gonna want to repeat the same pattern on the other sword. Now to secure this wrapping together, I'm just gonna use one of those liquid glue. Indonesians probably recognize this as lem key. Basically just one of those glues that like dries off within just a few seconds. And then with that, Texas the Wlfmstr sword are both done. So ladies and gentlemen, fellow doctors, Celinia's wolf swords. Finally done after about a total of 3 weeks up to like a month of work. Bro, this has got to be like the most absurd looking pair of swords I've ever done in my entire life. Nothing comes close to the complexity of these things. But remember the sword I did back in May? Bro, that shit came nothing close. So yeah, I would say I'm pretty satisfied with the way it ended up. Not entirely that clean. But like on the other side, I had to deal with like a large quantity of surface finish. And I would say that's basically the most time consuming part. And I would say it's not only like the finishing part, like every single thing about this sword is basically zero sanity. Especially on the CAD designs too, like bro, trying to figure out blueberry with all its insane complexities. It was pretty tasking with all the errors I had to deal with. Forgive me for singing my own praises, but I'm actually proud of the way all this spirally curves and all that shit turned out. I would say it's not really something you see all day. And also with dark chocolate here. I would say like modeling dark chocolate isn't actually that hard though. Cleaning up all these spikes that's coming out of its back is definitely pretty tasking. Oh no, I'm pretty satisfied with the way this thing ended up turning. I think I've already done my best in trying to replicate it in real life with all of its accuracy. I wouldn't even dare say call these one of my masterpieces, because this is like probably one of the most insane stuff I've built in quite a long time. A 2-in-1 in a video. Bro, this shit's tiring, not gonna lie. But I can tell this is not the last abomination that you're gonna throw my way now, isn't it? So now that these two babies are finally done, y'all know the drill. Let's take it out for a spin. See you guys there. So guys, that was Texas Altar Sword. Absolutely insane looking pair of swords here. Now if you guys enjoyed watching this video, definitely go hit the like down there. And if you guys enjoy watching the stuff I make, definitely go hit the subscribe button. It's free and it'll totally make my day. Also don't forget to flick the damn bell so you guys get notified when I upload a new video. And if you guys want a place where you guys could like hang out with each other and also like probably chill around with me, I've got a Discord server. It's top link in the description below. Go join that. And if you want to go and binge watch my videos, go click this video up here. And I'll see you there. Say you look. God damn, RGB and Chrome do be banging, yo.